on the calm summer evening of July 17th, 1996. Tragedy struck the skies off Long Island's coast. It became one of the most mysterious and debated disasters in aviation history. The world was on edge. As the Summer Olympics approached, fear of terrorism loomed large. Security was tight, nerves were frayed, and any unexpected event triggered immediate alarm. Transworld Airlines Flight 800 departed JFK Airport for Paris with 230 souls aboard. It never reached its destination. None would survive. 12 minutes later, the plane exploded mid-air. What followed ignited years of investigation, speculation, and controversy. Passengers from around the world boarded the evening flight with dreams, plans, and loved ones waiting. At 8:19 p.m., Flight 800 took off from JFK. Experienced pilots manned the controls. Weather was clear, all systems were normal. As the plane climbed over the Atlantic, its radar track appeared routine. Then at 8:31 p.m., an explosion lit up the sky. 200 witnesses reported seeing a streak of light ascending toward the plane. The 747 broke apart in midair. Wreckage and bodies rained down into the Atlantic. Boats in the area rushed to the scene. The Coast Guard scrambled. The crash occurred near U.S. Navy training areas. Was it a tragic accident? At first, no one knew what had happened. A bomb? A missile? Mechanical failure? In the hours that followed, hopes of survivors faded as the ocean gave up only debris. By morning, the scope of the tragedy was clear. All 230 aboard were dead. One of the largest recovery operations in aviation history began. The wreckage was scattered across miles of ocean floor. All 230 victims were recovered, an unprecedented feat in open sea. With terrorism suspected, the FBI took command of the investigation. The world watched, demanding answers. Piece by piece, the plane was raised from the ocean. In a hangar, the NTSB began a massive jigsaw puzzle. Teams worked around the clock to identify the dead. Memorials sprung up, the nation mourned. Even President Clinton addressed the nation. The National Transportation Safety Board took charge of the technical analysis. Early focus was placed on the aircraft's center fuel tank. The tank showed signs of internal explosion, not external penetration. Investigators traced possible ignition to aging wires sparking near the tank. Explosive simulations were run to test the theory. But the FBI wasn't convinced. A missile strike remained a possibility. Over 700 eyewitnesses reported a streak of light. Was it a missile or something else? The CIA released an animation refuting missile theories. Public debate raged. Experts were divided. Back in the hangar, the wreckage told a different story. Autopsies showed no signs of missile fragments in victims. The center tank was almost empty, filled with flammable vapors. A surge in nearby wires could have sparked the explosion. The case for mechanical failure grew stronger. In 2000, the NTSB issued its final report. The aircraft was rebuilt from over 95% of the recovered parts, an engineering and forensic triumph. Investigators created a simulation of the explosion sequence starting in the center fuel tank. Detailed metallurgical analysis showed fatigue and heat stress consistent with an internal blast. Electrical traces showed a power surge just before the explosion, likely from cross-connected wiring. The flight data recorder stopped abruptly, offering no warning signs before the blast. The cockpit voice recorder ended in a burst of static. No distress call was ever heard. On warm days, fuel vapors in the center tank can become highly explosive when near empty. Boeing engineers testified on the risks and limitations of the 747's aging systems. Independent experts confirmed the NTSB's findings, but some still had doubts. After years of work, the reconstructed aircraft stood as a silent witness to the tragedy. Independent researchers and former officials began to question the official narrative. Former White House Press Secretary Pierre Salinger claimed he had proof of a U.S. Navy missile strike. Some alleged whistleblowers claimed radar data and eyewitness testimony were ignored. Televised documentaries kept the missile theory alive in public discourse. The crash took close to U.S. Navy training zones. Could it have been more than just a tragic mishap? After a 16-month parallel investigation, the FBI closed its case. No terrorism, no missile. Families of victims filed lawsuits demanding answers and compensation. No missile fragments or chemical traces were ever found in the wreckage or victims. The CIA's animation faced criticism for conflicting with eyewitness accounts. To this day, some experts reject the official cause, pointing to unanswered questions. The official cause: an explosion in the center fuel tank ignited by a spark from faulty wiring. The FAA mandated changes. All commercial aircraft must now have fuel tank inerting systems. Maintenance protocols were updated to address aging wiring and structural risks. TWA 800 changed how the industry understands and mitigates hidden risks. A permanent memorial honors the lives lost, facing the ocean where the jet fell. Every year, families gather to remember their loved ones. The flight crew, some of the most experienced in the skies, are remembered for their service. TWA 800's final moments are reconstructed from data and witness testimony. Though the wreckage now rests in a Virginia training center, the sea still holds its secrets. Some truths lie beneath the surface, waiting to be understood. The skies today are safer because of the lessons learned from TWA Flight 800. Aircraft maintenance and inspection protocols have evolved worldwide. Technologies like real-time monitoring and tank inerting now protect every flight. From New York to Paris, aviation memorials remind us of those lost in the pursuit of progress. By 2021, the wreckage served its final role as a training tool, digitally preserved through advanced scanning. In June 2023, the NTSB quietly dismantled and destroyed the remains, closing a significant chapter in air safety history. Still, conspiracy theories endure. In 2022, some families sued, alleging a missile strike, though the case was dismissed in 2023. The families' voices turned grief into advocacy for truth, safety, and remembrance. Every flight through the night sky is a testament to the resilience of aviation. Beneath the stars, the Atlantic still whispers the story of TWA Flight 800. We remember all 230 souls aboard that flight, forever etched in our hearts. The past must be honored, the lessons must endure, safety must always soar. This has been the story of TWA Flight 800, loss, inquiry, and the path to safer skies.